You're up leveling now. You're transmuting, you're transcending. Namaste, Star Family. Welcome to the Matrix Oracle. My name is Audrey. This is your cosmic weather forecast for the upcoming full moon, December 4th, 2025. You're seeing here the opposition in Western astrology, the moon placed in Gemini. Gemini, as an archetype of the zodiac, it is all about transmutation. It's about alchemy. It's about processing some of the opposites that we're experiencing on this planet Earth. And as a result, what is really interesting is that the sacred geometry that involves this full moon event is creating a grand square with the collective North Node and South Node, creating this perfect matrix. So what does it hint to us for this full moon revelation? First, let's review what a grand square creates energetically. It's 4 points of sacred friction, sacred alchemy. So again, talk about transmutation for this full moon energy, transmuting things from the past in order to rise into our own becoming. Now, because it's held in such a matrix-like energy for this full moon, it also makes you realize that you can't really escape the matrix like we hear commonly. Because to be incarnated, you need to be within the matrix of your own body. What you want is to transcend some of the limitation of those set matrices and live by design of your own. Now, this grand square doesn't just involve the sun, it also involves Venus and Mars, feminine and masculine, the magnetic and electric energies, something that we saw was set into motion with the new moon in Scorpio in those last degrees, where it is recommended to activate your own matrix through the understanding of the concept of Merkaba, which is your ascension vehicle. If some of you are interested in tapping and activating your own Merkaba, I do have a special post on my Patreon that I will link below wherever that's possible here so you can check it out for yourself. So there is an emphasis between yin and yang. There are 2 lines of tension, those green dotted lines, that also catch my attention. So Mercury quincunx to the Chiron retrograde, as well as Mars quincunx to the Jupiter retrograde. And that means here, any type of censorship, whether it's censorship through your voice, not allowing yourself to voice your own desires, or censorship of creation, what you allow yourself to be part of your matrix of creation, is going to be revealed. All limitations are going to be revealed to you for this full moon energy. This is the purpose of the full moon, the opposition of sacred feminine, sacred masculine, between the unseen and the seen. Now let's look at what the goddesses, archetypes that I love to work with, are showing us for this full moon. There is still Lilith in that degree of Scorpio that we had and experienced the new moon. This is all about that yin and yang. So anything that used to leave you with one energy within yourself taking over, if your masculine is trying to take over your feminine, which means when your mind is trying to control your intuition, okay? There is here the archetype of wild, raw energy of the feminine that is still roaring, that is still trying to help you step outside of those constrictions, of those limitations. Interestingly, the other 4 archetypes of divine feminine essence, with Ishtar, Kali, Nyx and Medusa are creating together this protective shield of fate. So this is a fated moment for you to tap and have the awareness of the things that affected your truth, your voice, things that you couldn't see before, especially with the goddess of the night in that fourth house with Medusa, things that keep you stuck. Okay, some of you may think that you're procrastinating, but you're truly just trying to reach alignment with some parts of yourself that needs transmutation, that wants to be freed. Now, looking at the 9 muses of Greek mythology, which are archetypes that help you stay inspired, aka in spirit, connected to spirit. I noticed there is Muse Terpsichore, the muse of movement, in opposition to that Chiron retrograde that we noticed that was in tension with Mercury, but also Muse Clio, the muse of history and remembrance, that are here creating this opposition. What it hints is creating space through physical movement or not, even energetically, between where you are now and what maybe you still recall and still relate as far as some of the contrast that your soul has experienced. Because you're up leveling now, you're transmuting, you're transcending. This is no longer so. Quite interestingly, the muse of drama and theater, Muse Melpomene, is exactly where we saw that new moon energy, but also Lilith. So that means that here we have a lot of past drama, let's call it that we are now purging. We are realizing maybe how we invested ourselves in certain dynamics that no longer serve us. Melpomene is represented with mask, so expect certain mask to fall, whether your own or other people's. Muse Thalia, the muse of humor and comedy, is creating this line of tension with Muse Polymnia, which is the muse of spiritual creativity, that is in that 12th house energy. So I'm feeling for some of you, if you've ever wanted to tap into the Akashic record, it's going to be more possible energetically if you lighten up your heart, if you let go of some of those dramas, limitation, constriction, because you'll be able to tap into certain spiritual gifts, activations, downloads that were always meant for you, but that just needed this specific alignment, and that humor can truly uplift. Muse Polymnia is also in opposition, 12th house to 6th house energy, with Muse Euterpe, muse of music, Muse Urania, muse of astrology, and Muse Erato, the muse of romance and self-love. And that suggests to you that it's going to be very important to align to your own path with your astrology chart, to your own insights. Make sure that you pour more of that loving energy into your cup before, over caring about others, and making sure that you're just in alignment when you commit to certain things with how it truly feels. Because this is when those gates, those doors of new opportunities are opening energetically. Now, last but surely not least, the chief muse, Muse Calliope, in this whole cluster here where we have the collective North Node, the Saturn and Neptune retrograde, and she is the muse of writing skills. She is the one that helps you rewrite your own script. So some of you, if you've been feeling constrained into a certain matrix, and realize that your own body holds its own ultimate blueprint, its own matrix, its own mode of operation. You can tap into it and you can let go and fall apart all of the other matrices that you've been, confined into, that you've been programmed into, and tap into your own essence. And she is the greatest muse to help you with that. This full moon energy, you are meant to realize that you are the matrix. You are source energy that flows into the sacred vessel that forms itself a very unique matrix. And all other matrices that confine you are meant to be dissolved. If some of you want to now watch this content without any ads or any interruption, go and check out my Patreon page. You'll have access to some free content as well as some exclusive content. And that means if you are interested in tapping into the goddess's energy, the muse's energy, that's something that is accessible. I have 3 temples: the Kundalini temple with the activation of exclusive soundtrack, the goddess temple with all the muses and the goddess's archetype guidance, and the Starseed Temple where we have a monthly energy sessions around the full moon. Thank you so much for your support. Bye!